Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and welcome to This Week in WoW for the week of October 8th. Before we get started, let's go ahead and shout out and thank our Patreon supporters. We got Mario Casillas, Rat Pally Rocks, Nick Rada, and Peter Burnham. Thank you guys so much, I appreciate it, more than words can say. And let's go ahead and hop in to talk what's going on in the game this week. Let's first start with the Mythic Plus affixes. Now, if assuming everything just kind of goes normally, this week we should have Xal'atath's bargain should be called Devour. And we'll talk a little bit about Devour, and Devour should be paired with Fortified. I believe that's correct. Let's make sure this is tyrannical on the easy ones. Yep. So now once you get to a certain T level, you obviously get both tyrannical and fortified. I'm talking about for the low key where you just have one affix. It'll be fortified. So what does Devour do? So Devour is the only one we haven't seen yet. There's 4 bargains. At least that's all that has been data mined and stuff. And all this is going to do is it's going to put a healing absorb on everybody in your group. I believe it's every member of your group. This is dispellable by any dispel. So it's a disease, it's a poison, it's a curse, and it's magic. So any dispel you have, you can dispel this. As a Ret Paladin, what that means is 100% have to have cleanse toxins. And you're just going to pop that on yourself every single time it comes out, and it's going to immediately remove it. It's going to be a non-issue for you specifically as Ret, and maybe you have to dispel somebody else in a, especially a pug key where maybe people aren't paying it very much attention. But yeah, if you have a dispel available to you, it is an absolute must for this week to deal with the devouring affix. So we have Devour, and again, fortified for low keys. And once you get higher, you obviously have both of those. So other than that, this week, we do have Brewfest ended, but we do have the Darkmoon Fair still going on. So I mentioned it last week. I'll keep mentioning it, especially probably the whole first season for the most part. You can go to the Darkmoon Fair and get some pretty free profession knowledge. I already went and did that for this week already, but I have some alts I can still do it on as well. Not only that, you also get some skill up as well. So maybe you're like 97 and you haven't got all the way to 100 yet on one of your characters because it's just expensive to level it up or whatever. This is some free skill up as well. If you're already skilled up, that doesn't help you at all. But if you're less than 100, that's very helpful. Also, of course, the profession knowledge. So you head there, head to the Darkmoon Fair. These are very easy quests. They will be yellow quests instead of blue. So like not daily. They're once a week. They're once a month technically for Darkmoon Fair. And so you can go there and do those. I highly recommend it if you're doing any kind of professions whatsoever, even your gathering professions. You can get your herbalism, your mining. I just highly recommend going and doing that all around if you're doing any professions whatsoever. If you're not doing professions, then fine, but otherwise I recommend it. Other than that, of course, there's other stuff to do with Darkmoon Fair. We are still hoping and waiting for a revamp or an upgrade to the Darkmoon Fair. The weekly event is Pet Battle Bonus Event. Again, I've done a lot of pet battles this expansion for the rep, but I'm not a big pet battler myself, but appreciate those in the community who do like to do that. PvP Brawl is Classic Ashran, and we also have Timewalking for Wrath of the Lich King expansion. So during Wrath Timewalking, you can also go do Ulduar raid, I believe, as well. I know a lot of people were doing Illidan on the Burning Crusade Timewalking, so you can do Arthas, you can do the Lich King, the original Lich King for this Timewalking. Or no, it's Ulduar, never mind. So you can't do the Lich King. You can go do Ulduar and do... I can't even remember what the old god is in Ulduar. Gosh, it's been so long. But you can go do Ulduar, one of the most beloved raids that I can't remember the final boss of any longer because it's been, I don't know, what, 15, 16, 17 years? I don't know. Anyway, so that's going on this week as well. Other than that, there hasn't been a ton going on. We do have some tuning changes coming out today we can talk a little bit about. Some of these were just reverted right before I made this, so there was mostly buffs to people. However, there was a nerf to Holy Paladin, and I think a nerf or a not big enough buff to BM Hunter, something along those lines. Or maybe it was just a small buff to BM Hunter. But if so, then the BM Hunter was improved, and the Holy Paladin nerf was reverted, and instead they fixed a bug that was causing one spell to overperform Dawnlight. So that has been changed for today for the updates. However, a lot of people are getting buffs for Ret specifically. I know a lot of my subscribers are Ret Paladins, and I will have a bunch of stuff this week for Templar. What raid spec should we use it in Mythic Plus? How should we use it in Mythic Plus? Are there certain instances not to use it in Mythic Plus? We'll be going over all these kind of things during this week. So probably 1 or 2 videos on that, on the Templar stuff, like an update to my guide, my Season 1 guide, Ret Season 1 guide, and then probably also like, hey, this is the stuff. Use Templar for these bosses, maybe all of them, but use Templar for these bosses. Use Templar for these dungeons, you know. And unless it's literally Templar for everything, in which case I'll just say use Templar for everything. I don't have to make a video about that. But if it is a little bit more nuanced, which is what I hope for, I like a little bit of nuance personally, that would be cool. But if not, then that's fine too. And we can just be done with that just in the guide update video and just say it there. So that'll be easier. Other than that, I did do a lot of keys this week, which is terrible pugging, by the way. I do want to make a Stone Vault guide. I did a Grimbatol guide. I want to do a Stone Vault guide. And I'm purposely picking dungeons that Ret Paladins need, because that's a lot of my subscribers are Ret Paladins, but they drop trinkets that are really good. And so I am purposely picking dungeons that like drop stuff that I need and like a lot of people that watch me need. And so I might do a guide on that dungeon just because people are still struggling so bad in these dungeons. It's been a little bit rough. I wanted to share this. I probably entered, I should say. I only got 4 10s completed, but so I did get 2 things out of my vault with pure pugging, which isn't too terrible, but I probably entered about 12 10s. So I actually was getting invited pretty regularly to my apply. Rhet's doing pretty good in keys, so Rhet's in a good place to get invited right now. And man, to try to do 2 birds in 1 stone, I was trying to do 10 Grimbatols. This is obviously not the best way to get your 10s done. You can go do Mist of Tyranid Scythe, and it's like free. It's like a super easy dungeon. Arakara is very easy. I really want the Mark of Kardros from Grimbatol, so I was trying to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, thinking, okay, if I can complete these 10s, then I also have a chance to get my trinket from there. And yeah, so what's hilarious is, if you've pugged any 10 Grimbatols, let me know if this has happened to you as well. The tanks for some reason, I don't know why, maybe because in a good group you could do this, but not in a pug. These tanks try to pull the first pull into the dragon and then also pull the patrol pack, the next patrol pack, from like a million miles away. And none of these pug tanks can group it up whatsoever. They can't do it. They've never gotten it grouped up, and the whole time that I've done it, I'm doing everything I can to help. I'm trying to run out, interrupt the far one that they pulled without using. If they just pulled it with Silent Sigil, it would actually kind of work, but they don't do it for some reason. So I'm running and trying to interrupt that one, but then the other one's lagging behind. There's always at least one range in the group that doesn't have the interrupt bound. The stuff never gets together. You can't LOS anything. You're getting mass tremored from the Earth Callers. We went over this in the Grimmatol guide to interrupt that, but I only have so many interrupts myself. And we all wipe. And so I probably had 4 plus 10 Grimbatols this week fall apart on the very first pull, and it's absolutely hilarious. I know like people are angry when that stuff happens. I tried to very kindly whisper the tanks afterwards and say, hey, that's not a very good pull to do, especially in a pug group. And if you can't personally group it together as the tank, then you probably shouldn't pull it, because it's going to wipe you. I said it's much better just to do that first pull with the dragon in 1 pull, and then just pull the pat into those 2 groups by the bombing run dragons or whatever. Just pull all that together, pop Bloodlust there maybe, and that's going to be a lot more efficient and a lot more likely to succeed than pulling the pull that I described with the first pull into the dragon into the patrol. It's too spread out, and only a good tank's going to be able to do that. No offense to anybody else out there, but that's going to take some skill to do, especially on a plus 10. It's going to have some skill requirement to pull that together. And actually, then people can actually do AoE interrupts and stuff like that. When everybody's doing a single interrupt, not only that, it's just going to be there's going to be problems because you're going to run out of single interrupts unless you have all melee. You're going to run out of single interrupts as well trying to do that. So you got to get that stuff grouped together. It's a rough thing. It made me very depressed. These were all early in the week, luckily, and then like as the week went on, I got like more chill groups that are just like, okay, we're trying to time this, but you know, we just want to complete the key. And so those are the better groups to get into also, by the way, where you're trying to time it. So everyone's like giving an effort, but you don't like flame anybody if you don't time it. I think those are probably the best groups right now. But the groups that really want to time it and are, you know, they're trying to do these crazy polls that they aren't capable of doing, those are a little bit crazy. I could do without those groups. I don't get angry anymore. I just get kind of sad, I guess you'd say. And like I said, I try to whisper people in a polite way and try to help them. But, you know, that normally falls on deaf ears if we're just being honest. So that was my week, pugging a lot of keys and failing most of them. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to opening my vault. I will have the 2 myth slots, which I discussed just now, doing the 4 10s. I'll also have 2 myth slots on the raid track as well, because we did get Rashran down. Got some pretty good progress into Ovanax as well. Basically got through the first area once or twice. Not clean or anything, but we kind of have the first egg area down. Got the boss down to like 60%, somewhere around there. Like maybe a 65, something, somewhere around those parts. And so, yeah, we're making good progress on it, in my opinion. So I doubt it could die this week. I doubt it, but it could. And so I'm looking forward to continuing raid prog there as well. It'll be interesting to see Templar versus Herald there. Probably still Herald, but it'll definitely be up for debate. And I am just genuinely looking forward to testing it out and seeing what other people do as well with that. So that's been my week. That's going to be my current week coming up. Like I said, we'll have multiple videos coming out, most likely multiple, but at least one video coming out with these rat changes and basically an update to my rat guide. And then if there's more nuance to it, we'll have another video coming out on that. Other than that, we're just looking for news, updates, things like this. And of course, we're going to have a ton to talk about when the paladin side of the tree changes over, most likely at the end of this month, either that or very early November. So a lot of stuff to come up in this month of spooky season here. So that'll be it for this one. As always, I do ask you to please subscribe to the channel. It helps me out so much. If you're already a subscriber, I encourage you to check out the Patreon. And other than that, everybody, have a good one.